Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. All right, so this is a bit of an unplanned one because there is so much that is happening. I really feel like it almost feels like the year of the fire horse has started already, hasn't it? Started in earnest, yeah, but certainly the numerological year of the whole world changed, once we entered, once it became 2026. 2026. eh, eh, it's just where to begin. So much change, so much transformation, so much happening already as we transition from the year of the snake into the year of the horse. One of the things, fire horse. You guys will know that I made my predictions and I said 2026 is going to be quite the year. Things are going to move extremely rapidly. Horses are, of course, associated with war, and you can imagine fire as well, which is also has very much the energy of Mars. Mars is associated with horses, fire, war, etc. All of this stuff. Does it mean it's going to be some gigantic, hot mess, global war? Not necessarily, no. That's not quite what I'm seeing. Because everything is happening at such pace. Trump is deranged. I mean, Trump is deranged. He is utterly deranged. But as you've heard me say before, I said the people around him are far, far worse. Far, far worse. I also, as well, I want to just say a big thank you to everyone who has liked and responded to the video I did on Sunday, with my dream and my card, which I'm actually working on to. I've done a digital scan of it. I mean, I've done a high resolution scan of that work, and I'm just working on at the moment getting back into my Shopify account because I lost my two-factor authentication, which was on my old phone, which died. And then also as well, the backup codes that I think I downloaded were on my old computer, which also died. So I've not been able to get back in, but I've written to them and they're going to sort that out. And then what's going to happen is I've got all my illustrations on there on my Shopify account. I will then upload that image, that so many of you want to see. And then I would link it to my new website because so much has changed for me just in the last few months. And then those of you that are interested in it can then purchase that illustration, and many of you do. I've had a lot of emails as well where people saying, oh my God, the activation that they were feeling. And just in case if you don't know what I'm talking about, I know many of you have seen the video, but this is the illustration here. Yeah. This illustration, like I said, which I referred to as the portal of time past, portal of sorry, the portal. I have to remind myself, the portal of past, present, and future. Someone also sent me someone who did an oracle deck of cards, and they had the image of 3 pyramids with an eye as well. I mean, just people have been saying they've been getting activations on it. As you guys know, I did my collaboration with Sybil Harmony last night. There was some technical difficulties, so I had to host her on my channel, although she was going to be interviewing me anyway. So if you guys haven't seen that, feel free to check that out. And she said basically this thing that I've created is like a third eye activation. I've had other people writing to me saying, oh my God, I feel transported. I'm having this and this thing. So one person has asked me if I could turn it into a cube so that they and their group can meditate on it. And look, I'll soon get this thing with Shopify sorted out. I literally, everything's fine. It's just that I couldn't get into the account because, like I said, I lost access. And the second I get access, I'm gonna get that uploaded for people, and you can either buy it on its own, or I'll do a bundle of some kind where you can have my other illustrations if for those that are interested in those are kind of more black and white grayscale and to do with the astrology. But this is really activating a lot of people. I think it's connected with Three Eye Atlas, as you've heard me say before, and the fact that someone else has got. I wonder if I've got. I wonder if I can find the image of it. There's this guy. What is his webs? Ah, gee whiz. Someone took a picture of it. Oh, what was her name? There's just so much going on. There is so much being activated. Let me just see if I can. It's overwhelming. It's just overwhelming. There is so much going on. Let me just see here. Who was the one that sent me? Oh, crikey. Let me just put here 1 second. I have to search the email. I should have done this before, but let me just put here form submission. I've got to try and remember the person who mentioned the card to me. Oh, crikey. Who was it? Oh, I can't bloody find it now. Sorry about that, guys. I can't even remember the person's name, because it's like you write things down, you make a note. I wrote back to them, but so many people, because I've had so many emails, I can't find the exact thread that I was responding to. But they showed me a picture of this card, and this person, but it was like a red background. I really want to find it now. Oh, crikey. Okay, I'm going to have one more look. And see if I can find it. Why did I not make a note of the person that wrote to me? I did write back to them. Let me just see. Who was it? No, that was Vicky. Who was it that wrote to me? In fact, if I go into sent, so I'm just rummaging through my emails now. I think I found it. It was Samantha Selinsky here. I can show you now. So there's this guy. Oh God, his name's just. I just feel like I can't even retain information because it's so. So remember what I showed you, yeah. So again, remember I said this card was like I said, I was doing a reading, as you know, for Trump. I had my deck, pulled the card, and this huge thing came out, and it looked like this. Yeah. So here you can see this is the eye of the bald eagle. The bald eagle is my spirit animal, by the way, genuinely. And I'm not just saying that. It's been like that for years, and it was amazing when I saw some bald eagles in Canada. But as you know, the bald eagle is also the national bird of America. And I saw an eye of a bald eagle surrounded by pyramids. And like everyone said, well, that looks like the US dollar, but it's not just that. This is about higher states of consciousness. It is about peering beyond the veil. It is about clear sightedness. And then this woman, Samantha, then emailed me and said, there is this oracle deck that someone has done. And one of the cards you need to take a look at. So I think it's this one here. Yes. Look at this, guys. Very, very different style. But do you see? It is the same thing. 3 pyramids plus an eye. And this deck is from, what's he called? Daniel Martin Diaz. So this person who wrote to me, she said she was watching a walkthrough of the Enigma Oracle by Daniel Martin Diaz. So I want to give him a shout out because obviously I'm showing his work. Let me just stop the share there. But could you see the similarity? Extremely different styles. Obviously mine is with the desert and all of this stuff. I've also been told that this card that I've done is like the Eye of the Sahara. Do you guys know about this? So if I just do this, let's just do this. The Eye of the Sahara. So if you look here, this thing is like really wide. It is literally like, let me just see if there's, yeah. This thing is like 20 miles wide or something like that. So if I go back, so again, remember this was like, came out in the dream. So imagine that you got the Sahara Desert with the eye, and then you got the pyramids. I'm going to share my screen now. And this is, I didn't even know about this, guys. I didn't even know about this. This was emailed to me by some people. And if I just do share screen. All right, look at this. Look at this. So you can see that's the Eye of the Sahara. Here's, I mean, even as I'm looking back on the screen, seeing myself, it's just like, it's uncanny. Do you see? It's the same. It's just really, it's just like, wow. So if I go here, like, if we just, it's the same, isn't it? It's the same. So I think it's connected with 3i Atlas. I really do feel like, I often have sort of like upgrades in my abilities and all of this kind of stuff, but I really feel like the 3i Atlas has unleashed something. And isn't it interesting that the other guy that I mentioned, he's got the similar imagery as well. But when even for me, when I just put that up next to the Eye of the Sahara, it looks the same. It basically looks the same. So anyway, that's that. So let's look at Trump's chart. We're going to look at Trump's chart. We're going to look at the chart of the USA. We're going to look at Maduro's chart. Yeah, we're going to look at Maduro's chart, and we're going to look at the new moon that is coming up in sidereal Capricorn. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Let me just bring you in on the comments. So some people still saying Happy New Year. These are the early ones. Never again. JS Never Again. Thank you. What's this? Someone's saying, now that Doug LaMafia has passed away, what is the future going to look like? This district will be on track to be the best years. I've got no idea who that is. Sorry. Someone says here, I wish that Burn O'Malley says, I wish the GOP would grow a backbone and stand up to the idiot, but I suppose they are all hoping for the midterms will be suspended. Indeed, it's like, if there's one thing that Duck Larange is doing, even though it is horrible, what he is doing is revealing the true depths of the soulless corruption of so many people in power. That's what he's doing. Literally, Trump should be sectioned for what he's a lunatic. He is deranged. He is demented. And this is also an elaborate form of elderly abuse. Of course it is. Why does he keep talking about his cognitive tests? Yeah, because they keep testing him because they know that he's deteriorating. They're trying to monitor how much he's deteriorating. He's like, hey, I passed the test. You know, I passed the test. I saw one of his most recent press conferences where I think he was talking about bench pressing or something like that. You can see he's never been in a gym in his life. And he was remarking, saying that Melania was asking him, saying, look, please stop dancing. It's so unpresidential. And he was jabbering away. And I just had to laugh. Not in mock, in kind of a laugh of just like, oh my God, is this really where we are? And he was making all these funny expressions and faces and all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, and again, this doesn't excuse Trump because Trump is diabolical. We know that. But I've always said the people around him are far worse. This is a form of elderly abuse. It really is. And it doesn't absolve Trump. No, we know he's a douchebag, but they all know that he has dementia. They all know that he is dying. And Trump, for me, is acting like a man who knows he's dying. Do you know what I mean? The kind of the recklessness that he has. Yeah, the recklessness. Because of course he's also a narcissistic sociopath. And his frontal lobal cortex or whatever dementia that he's got makes the malignant narcissism even worse. And because of the deterioration of his brain, he's believing in his own fantasies, and he's also being fed fantasies by Rubio, which I've already stated in the dreams. If you guys haven't seen it, just go back and look at it. It's called Trump Betrays All of Them, and I've got him wearing a crown in the thumbnail. You've got Rubio that's exploiting him. You've got Hegseth, who's exploiting him, just ginning him up and getting him all excited. And of course, Stephen Miller, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, they're all doing it. This is how they're getting their agenda through, because the guy that they're dealing with is a deeply flawed, damaged, broken, malignant narcissist with delusions of grandeur, who is demented and becoming increasingly demented. Also, as well, what it's hard to even. I've just been watching so many videos trying to get on with my own life, and I did see clients today as well, of course, and all of that. But it was Jennifer from iHip News did the good service of reminding everyone that the Russians faked a letter which they sent to some douchebag. I can't remember his name, but some very MAGA senator, which was basically this fake letter from Greenland, but it was written by Russia, saying that, talking about the purchasing of Greenland. And apparently he tried this in 2019 and it didn't fly at the time because there were enough sane people around Trump at the time not to go for it. Now, of course, they are just wildly greedy and just incompetent and will just go along with anything. And they said this time it has stuck because Putin knows that if he can get Trump to attack Greenland, that will effectively destroy NATO, which is what people are already talking about already. And that would essentially put the USA at war with Denmark. I mean, do you know what I mean? It's just like, so of course, if that happens, what energy is there going to be left for Ukraine? Yeah. Because essentially Europe would then be at war with America. Whoa. Trump is talking about attacking a NATO country, let alone all of the other madness of, because now he wants to go after Cuba, which is Marco Rubio's idea, because Rubio, who is Cuban, has been wanting to see the fall of the regime. And many of, as we know, the Cubans were, I will vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, do you remember that? Yeah. Do you remember that? And then obviously, you know, they had their status revoked. It's just so ridiculous. It's just all of it is crazy. But of course, a lot of those people were voting from Florida, which of course is Trump's backyard. Because Rubio wants to, he himself, as the dream that I had, he has his own ambitions. And now they're talking about Mexico. Now they're talking about Panama Canal. Now they're talking about Colombia, Greenland. Like, really? So guess what? As you guys will know, I said early on, and I was picking it up in readings, first of all, that this was planned and contrived. So if you guys haven't seen it, go back to the reading that we did on the 23rd of December. It was Sheila, Lisa, and I, and we read on Venezuela, and it was a bit spooky because the energy was like, we were like, whoa, this looks like this has been something quite in the planning. This has been very kind of performative. For starters, one of the things I said to my friend Neliana, of course, is looking on everything because she's from Venezuela. I said, listen, I said, Maduro might win his case, you know, because there is an aspect of international law where leaders of nations are considered to have a certain level of immunity. And because Trump said, we have now captured or taken the leader of Venezuela, yeah, Nicolas Maduro, they're saying Maduro is now going to use that argument because he's obviously got to have lawyers as well. He's going to use that argument against the Trump regime, quite rightly, because he's like, well, I'm the leader of a sovereign nation. What you've done, this is in contravenance of international law, and you've committed a war crime. You've abducted me. So within this overreach lies therein the seeds of the destruction. Do you see? Also as well, Maria Corina Machado, she's been thrown under the bus. So how's that worked out? Do you remember she wanted to dedicate the Nobel Prize to Trump? She's saying now she wants to even give it to him. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a mistake. I don't think there's any point trying to curry favor with Trump. He never respects people that try and curry favor with him anyway. It's a fool's errand trying to do any kind of deal with this man. He is deranged. And I wish people would just understand we're dealing with an elderly, senile guy here. Not that he is defenseless. He's not. Like I said, Trump is diabolical, but the people around him are feeding him all this stuff. And as his dementia gets worse and worse, he gets more and more crazy. And because the stuff with the Epstein files, I say, look, we're not talking about the Epstein files anymore, are we? Because of now, and this is the kind of things a malignant narcissist will do. Yeah, because of the narcissistic injury that he is feeling. But it's also as well all the people that he's protecting, all of his benefactors, all of these people in the oil companies and all that stuff. He's just made it nakedly clear. Yeah, it's about oil, it's about the resources, all of this stuff. So let's look at some charts. And someone's just saying here, Karen saying, hi, handsome. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Katie is saying that dream was something else. Yeah, I agree. I think by the end, it just became a channeling session. I think it was just a very special moment. And like I said, you know, this image, you know, one last time, you know, I'm just going to put that up for people, and it's not going to be expensive. It's going to be very affordable because I'm not doing it to be, you know, oh, you know, no. And I want people to use it as a tool. as a tool for third eye activation, meditation, prayer, to have visions of past, present, future, just as it did for me. Whether or not that will happen again, I do not know. I cannot predict these dreams. They are coming all the time. I had a dream about King Charles. King Charles came to me in a dream earlier this morning. It's now obviously we're now flipped over into the next day, but basically this morning Prince Charles came to me in a dream, and I was in my old house, long story short, and it's really interesting. He was really enjoying my food. He really enjoyed my cooking. And he wasn't wearing he wasn't wearing a crown. He was just in his kind of like smart tweeds, because he's well dressed. And he wanted to talk about astrology. We were talking about Neo-Vedic astrology. He wanted to understand about my techniques. We spoke about philosophy. We spoke about history, environment, so many of his passions. I think Charles is quite the occultist, on the down low. He's very interested in alternative blah, blah, blah. And I know not necessarily people are a big fan of him. And of course, we have to understand the royal family is also one of the foundation stones for imperialism around the world in the British Empire, which of course so many people copied. And of course, America is the legacy of that. And Trump now is trying to do his own version. Also, as well, who came to me the day before King Charles was Kemi Badenoch. Oh my God, that was quite a frivolous. She's the leader of the Conservative Party. I'm like, what the hell is going on? That was more frivolous. What it shows is she might be going through a little bit of spiritual awakening. But what I think this really means is, why did King Charles come to me in a dream? And I think I know what it means. I think it's because the global order is changing right in front of our eyes. And you guys will remember, maybe I've not said it enough, but I said it a good while ago. And do you remember I said, Trump's derangement is like the madness of King George in reverse. Yeah? Because what happens is we've got Pluto in sidereal Capricorn, and America is having its first Pluto return. Yeah. And that return began on the 1st of January 2021. 5 days later, we had January 6th. 4th of July 2026, you don't need me to tell you, but everybody knows that America is going to be 250 years old. Yeah, it takes Pluto 248 years to go around the sun. They say the average empire lasts about 250 years. So look at the timing of that. But we need to remember this was also the time when America was what? Founded. And at that time, we had one of the King Georges was on the throne, and he suffered from a type of madness. People still aren't sure if it was poisoning or if it was a genetic or congenital failure of some kind, but either way, it was real. And it reached the stage where he could no longer govern. And effectively, his Queen Charlotte, which of course you guys would have seen in Bridgerton and all of that stuff, in that fanciful, very entertaining and very excellent show, very entertaining. And it doesn't pretend to be completely historically accurate, because it isn't, because they use modern songs and stuff in there. I was watching it the other day. But the point is that he was incapacitated to the extent that effectively Queen Charlotte was the main ruler of the UK, and then the other George that came after was the Prince Regent there afterwards. Why am I saying this? It's because, as they say, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. When a planet returns to the original place where it was in the chart, imagine that planet is holding a mirror. Yeah, it's like that planet is holding up a mirror. In the normal cycles of life, of course, most of us talk about what? The Saturn return. But think about it. We have a solar return every year. And with every birthday, we often reflect a little bit. We go, okay, another year older. But it happens so regularly that that's what I want to say. It's not a big deal. Certain birthdays are actually a lot more important than others. However, for me, the Pluto return of a nation is like equivalent to the Saturn return on the human level scale. With every Saturn return, it holds up a mirror of all of the things that we need to work on, the things that we've succeeded on, but also where we failed and where we need to improve. So imagine when Pluto holds up the mirror and the nation, a country, has to look at about 250 years worth of its history and choices. It's a profound reflection, profound. And in many ways, for me, Trump is that archetype that has to be faced, where I think humanity has to make a choice of whether or not we're going to give up this toxic patriarchy once and for all and move into the higher realms and higher dimensions collectively. And each of us individually, all of us light workers, we can all make our contributions. We can't, you don't have to save the world on your own. You just spread and share your light. Obviously, my channel is part of how I'm contributing. This image is gonna be available if any of you feel guided to meditate on it, if it's gonna help you raise your consciousness, open the third eye. I hope you get the same results that I did. You know, these dreams, past, present, future, where it was all laid out before me. And then look, it came true. But it's not going to succeed. Yeah. The intentions have been revealed to the world. Do you know, at the moment, apparently Denmark with some other places are having top secret discussions about what to do about this because of the threats that he's made to Greenland. This is getting really serious quickly. Do you remember that that reading I did, which may have only been last week, and someone asked me to read on Canada? I think it was one of my Friday fry-ups. And you remember I got the Four of Pentacles for Canada. And you remember, and this was before the invasion happened. And you remember I said, it's like Canada has to protect itself. It has to defend its borders. There's going to be some kind of betrayal from the United States. And someone wrote to me in the comments that, oh, it must be to do with this such and such trade agreement. And I was like, okay, maybe that could be it. But I said, I feel like this is to do with borders. Now look. He's being very calm, but Mark Carney, they're saying in Canada, they're actually preparing for war. Just in case, because everyone is like, nah. Because when you go into another nation, and we know Maduro is dreadful, but when you go into a nation and you snatch out that leader and his wife, then all bets are off. Because as dreadful as Putinsky is, he's not done that to Zelensky. Yeah. Once you, and this is why the pushback in the world is so strong. I can't remember. I think I must have said it in my collaboration yesterday. I said, when Trump did that, when the regime did that, it put a shiver down the backs of every global leader, because they suddenly were just thought, whoa, that could happen to me. And leaders don't like feeling that way, and they don't like that kind of precedent being set, even if it's being set by the so-called leader of the United States, yeah? Because that is dangerous, because then all of a sudden, everyone's got license and permission to be like, oh, you know what? I don't like you very much. You know, I'm going to abduct you while you sleep, and I'm going to put you in one of my prisons, and I'm going to cook up charges against you, and I'm just going to affect regime change in your country because I don't like the way you danced. You know, Trump admitted that one of the things that pushed him to abduct Maduro was because he felt that Maduro was teasing him via his dances. Yeah. And some people think that Trump is playing 4D chess. Like, give me a break. He is deranged. Yeah. So I've yabbered on enough. Let me just show you some charts. I want to show you the extraordinary timing of what can happen on full moons. Yeah, so we're going to talk about full moon. We're going to talk about new moon when the moon is dark. We're going to be talking about Trump's chart, and we're going to be talking about Maduro's chart. All right. So first of all, let's start with a chart of Venezuela, and I'm going to show you what happened on the full moon. Yeah. So let's just go here, share screen. My God, the times that we're in. It's let's just do entire screen. And let's click on here. All right. So let me just move this a little bit here. Can you see the screen? I'm sure you can see the screen. Yes, you can. All right. Let me just go like this. What I want you to focus on here. So this guy's coming up. Yep. Is the new moon that is coming up on the 18th of January, 2026. 18th of January. Yeah. So we don't have long. Across here, where it says TR, this is transits. This is where the planets are right now, sidereally. So you can see the moon is currently in Leo, yeah, which is the sign of leadership. Remember to K2 is here, south node of the moon. Do you remember one of my predictions of 2026? Do you remember I said leadership around the world will change? I said there'll be many leaders that may be deposed or their careers are suddenly ended. Now look, yeah. Anyway. But spiritual people that are working for the light, people that do spiritual work, meditation, Reiki, tarot, astrology, psychology, anything that is helping to uplift humanity, those people are going to start rising in the world as well, because K2 likes spiritual people. Yeah, that's just K2. Yeah, it's the Moksha Kaka, liberation from this world. Anyway. If we look here, so the moon is currently in sidereal Leo, and then it's going to move. The new moon is going to happen in sidereal Capricorn, and this is what this chart here is depicting. Can you see? Yeah, this is what this chart here is predicting, showing. Yeah. Now look at this pile up. Now I want you to remember this. This is very, very important because this is a very sensitive part of the chart for quite a few countries. But the most important one is this here. You have moon. Now, what is the moon? The moon deals with the public. Mars is what? The planet of energy and war. Mercury is the planet of communications of all kinds. Commerce also deals with business. The sun deals with leaders. Venus deals with what? Wealth, money, asset classes of all kinds. And Pluto deals with what? The transformation, but also the corruption, the rot. Yeah. Pluto is in sidereal Capricorn. As you guys know, I've been bleating on about it for years. And I said, one of the things that is going to happen is that we're going to go back into the energy of the 1930s. And what is going to be exposed is the corrupt involvement of big business in governments. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but just in case you're new, I have been talking about this for a long time now. Now it's luridly clear. Trump has invaded Venezuela because he says, I want the oil. And he's been impersonating my dancing. And guess what? I've got all of these companies that are going to come in and extract it. And guess what? The cost of that, they want to put on the American taxpayer. Wow. Yeah. So we've got adventurism. We've got neo-colonialism. And we've got companies that want to go in and take the oil to neither benefit the Venezuelans or the Americans either. The unbridled douchebaggery greed here is just astonishing. But for America, this is happening in the second house. And it's actually funny because it so happens that this chart that I've cast here for the time that I did is the Sagittarius rising, which is the same as the United States. So you can literally take this verbatim. This is going to be happening in the second house in the United States chart. The second house deals with money, values, education, speech. This can also be talking about the economy as well. This confluence of energy is very, very significant because Capricorn, like I said, is the sign of government. Yeah, government, institutions. But it also deals with the corporate world. Yeah. So here, in many ways, we can see the corporate adventurism of the capitalists and the billionaires. Yeah, because this is Pluto is where we get the word plutocrat from. So Pluto also deals with billionaires. And here you've got Mars, which is what? Aggression, action, war. Trump has been saying, oh, well, we're going to put more troops on the street there, etc., and all of this kind of stuff. But the moon is dealing with the public. This is going to become more and more focused in the minds of the public. Mercury is what? Media and communications. Venus, asset classes of all times. What's the fight over? It's about oil, asset classes, money. Sun, leadership. Yep. So all of this is happening. So there's that aspect. So that is coming up on the 18th. So what we're going to look at to see is where that new moon is falling in different charts. If we do here, if we go here, Nicolas Maduro, and I want you to remember, let me just put here, let's just put here the 18th so you can actually see, and let's put the time. I think it was it 6 a.m., something like that. Calculate. Oh no, let's do, it's got to be a little bit like, I think it's 6:30. Let's calculate. There we are. All right, so you see down here, TR, so this is the transits, 18th, remember, 18th of January, 2025. Today is the 7th of January, 18th of January, 2026. Today is the 7th of January, 2026. At 1 minute past 1 a.m. UK time at the time that I'm doing this. Yeah. So this is what is coming up. Now for Nicolas Maduro, I managed to find his birth chart online is the 23rd of November, 1962. So he's recently had a birthday and he was born at 9:03 p.m. in Caracas, which gives him a Gemini rising ascendant. I want you to remember that, Gemini rising. And that means that this big stellium here, this big pileup is happening in Maduro's 8th house. And as you know, I refer to the 8th house as what? The house of sex, death, and rock and roll. This is where the most transformation happens. What's happened? Yeah, even though it's not fully come up yet, he's been what? Busted out of bed. Yeah, him and his wife, his protectors around him killed. I think almost 86 people are dead by this raid, by the way. And he's now in a prison cell in New York to plead his case, I think sometime in March. So you can see just how the astrology is playing out. This is going to be very significant for Maduro. He may even be actually in a lot of physical danger, but this also means as well that his life is going to completely transform. Yeah. So if we look here, the planets that are involved, like I said, it's Moon, it is Mars, it is Mercury, it's the Sun, it is Venus, it is Pluto. So if we look here, Mercury rules his 1st house. Yeah. So him and his body. And it also rules the 4th house, which deals with real estate. The moon in his chart rules the 2nd house of what? Values, beliefs, etc. And he's got his debilitated Mars and Rahu there. So that's a bit of a tricky one. If we look here, the sun rules this 3rd house of travel and communication. Look, he's got his Pluto here and Uranus, sudden shocks and surprises. He's a very unpredictable man himself, by the way, Maduro. And he probably, no one will know this, but he probably has weird psychic dreams and contact and phenomena. And he's probably very into sci-fi and conspiracy theories and stuff like that with this Uranus and Pluto combination with Ceres, particularly what on his grandmother's side. Yeah, his grandmother may have actually been a mystic and a seer and all of this stuff, because Ceres can also deal with grandmothers. Anyway, and it's love and devotion. So he's really into some funky stuff. Let's just put it that way. It's interesting stuff. Who else is here? And then we've got Venus. Venus rules the 5th house of children and the 12th house of exiles, hospitals, endings, and prisons. He's in jail right now. Yeah. Oh my God. But let's not forget, it's also exile. assuming, I'm going to say this, assuming Maduro stays alive, I think he can win his case and he may be able to get exiled to some other place. And maybe that is the whole deal. I just cannot help that this is one gigantic performance, because that's what we were picking up when we were reading the cards on Venezuela on December 23rd. There's a lot more going on here underneath the surface than what appears. And also the fifth house deals with giving consultation advice to others. It's also known as a lucky house. And in here, he has Venus with Neptune and with the moon. Neptune is also a planet of oil, by the way. Deals with oil, liquids, gases. And it's there with Venus, which is what? The planet of assets. Do you see? You see how it's kind of working out? Things are kind of coming full circle. And it's all developing in his 8th house. 8th house also deals with investments and other people's money. But it's also death as well. So, I mean, if he were to die, or something were to happen to him, it will be on a level of outrage where I just think the whole world would just turn on America. Even though we know that Maduro is a horrible, horrible man, but that is already beyond the pale. Imagine. Hopefully that won't happen. I think this is more of his life taking a completely different direction. His life is under threat, but it is also a completely different direction. So you never know, they might offer him exile. Anyway, let's now look at Degrasse. Where is this pileup happening for him? So if we just do this again, so you can just see it mirrored, 18th, and we'll do 6:30 a.m. just so you can see it on the screen. All right, so here's the pile up here. Where's this happening? For Trump, it's happening in his 6th house. Now, what's the 6th house about? It doesn't only deal with health and healing and overcoming obstacles. It also deals with enemies and battles. What's Trump up to right now? Yeah, warmongering, yeah, going around doing his bits and bobs. But this could also talk about there could be a potential health crisis here. Well, look, I say potential health crisis. Trump is in a health crisis. It's just a drawn out, protracted one. Yeah, he's got frontal lobe dementia. That is a crisis. And his cankles, you know, his swollen ankles and taking all this aspirin and all of this kind of stuff. And like I said, Trump is acting like a man who knows he does not have long to live. Think about it. Death does very interesting things to people. Some people, when they're told that they're going to die, it can crush them, yeah, and they die sooner. Some people, when they're told that they're going to die, they go, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to live life to the max. What do you think the odds are that Trump, knowing that he's going to die, he's just going to be like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. Maybe go out in a blaze. Wouldn't surprise me at all, especially with his chart, yeah? Mars in the 1st house and Leo, he thinks he's the king. It's conjunct the star Regulus. I'm sorry to keep going over old stuff if you know this already, but it all makes sense, doesn't it? He's getting this pile up here in the 6th house. In fact, I need to move this a little bit further because the moon hadn't quite joined. Let's just give it an hour. Let's just do that, calculate. Oh, for heaven's sake, I want the moon to move into that position. Let's just do 12. There we go. Anyway, so you can see it all here. So for him, this is very strong activation in terms of, I think he's got his back up against the wall. He's prepared to battle. You've got Mars, which is here, part of that combination. Mars sits in Trump's 1st house. So he's feeling this personally as well, just like Maduro is, because he's a Gemini rising. Mercury rules that. But the sun is here as well. Trump is a Leo ascendant. So he's taking this very personally. It's in a way, it's like he's been convinced that it is his personal battle, him and his will against the world. Yeah. So he's being like, well, I know I don't have long to live. Screw it. Yeah. So he's feeling like quite reckless, and then he's being fed. Yeah. He's been fed all of this stuff. Venus, for all Leo ascendants, rules the 10th house and the 3rd house. 3rd house is communication. 10th house is what? Career, name, fame. I think he's just seeing this as his chance to be in the spotlight, go out, kind of go out in a blaze of glory. However, Saturn, transiting Saturn, is going through his 8th house. And you remember I said how difficult that was going to be for Trump. This is extraordinarily difficult for him. As much as he's tooting his horn and trying to look triumphant, let's not forget as well that dream he came to me where he was on his sick bed. And I said, I don't think it literally means, it could be that we know he's sick anyway. But I said, this could also be to do with the MAGA base as well. But it was this desperation. How was he going to get everyone to stop talking about the Epstein files? Yeah. Which has been crushing him. Yeah. Start a war. Yeah. Use any excuse. That's what a malignant narcissist will do. They will use any excuse, any justification to get themselves out of the pickle, because, of course, it can never be their fault. Yeah. So we're seeing this derangement play out. Yeah. What is even more remarkable, if we go here to the chart of Venezuela. Let's do file open. And I'll show you what happened there on the full moon. Let's do country. Let's do open. All right, here's the Trump of Venezuela. I just want to make sure. Can you see everything, guys? Are you being able to follow this? Yes, it seems to be all right. All right, here we go. And then I'll just see if I can pull some cards. Anyway, chart of Venezuela. So what we need to remember is, remember how I said that leaders' charts will often reflect the chart of the nation? Well, if we look here, you can see Venezuela has got Mercury and the Sun, remember, which deals with the leaders, in sidereal Gemini, where Maduro has his ascendant. But you see, for the Venezuelan chart, which is here the 5th of July, 1811, 3 p.m. Caracas, yeah, it has a Scorpio rising. Scorpio is also associated with oil. And if we look here, Neptune, one of the planets of oil, is in the 1st house. For Scorpio, I refer to as what? The bottom of the ocean. Yeah. And it's there with Mars, which is what? Fire, heat, passion. Can also talk about fuel as well. Guess what? Venezuela has the deepest, the most plentiful oil reserves of anywhere in the world. They have just entered their Mercury Dasher, which was on the 1st of June, 2025. And I'm so glad that I read on Venezuela, because it really wasn't a big story. I just wanted to see what was going on. Now look how significant it's become. And one of the things I said there would be some kind of coup in the country. Because when I looked at the Mercury Dasher, yeah, when I looked at the Mercury Dasher, which they're now in, I was like, Mercury sits in the 8th house and is the ruler of the 8th house. And here it is with the Sun, which is the leaders. And I can't remember that whole reading now. You can go back and check it out. But I said there will be some kind of coup. I said huge transformation will be coming for Venezuela, but they're not going to be fully in control of what happens. Yeah, because Mercury, the 8th lord, sits in the 8th house. What was even more remarkable is that if we go back to the 2nd of January, yeah, when this happened, we go back to the 2nd of January, you'll see here in the transits that the full moon happened in sidereal Gemini. And the moon was becoming, because I was talking about this with Nelliana, the moon basically became exactly full while the raid on Venezuela, Maduro was being abducted. Full moon. Full moon is what? The culmination of many things, the birthing, yeah, the full realization of something. So the full moon happened in Maduro's first house, because he's Gemini rising, which is what? The body. It happened at the same time in Venezuela's 8th house, which is what? Transformation, sudden change and transformation. And it's there with the sun, which is what? The leader. Guess what's even more remarkable is that this full moon happened on Trump's Mercury as well, because Trump's Mercury is actually in sidereal Gemini, guys. Yeah. In his, let me think, it's 12, in his 11th house, which deals with powerful and influential people, friends of all kinds, and it also deals with great gains. Yeah. The 11th house deals with great gains. So what? Trump literally goes in there to what? To try and get the great gains of Venezuela. Do you see how it all plays out? So I just wanted to share those things. Let me just do that stop share for now. Oh, actually, I should do. Oh, no, I've spoken about the USA. I've spoken about the USA. Anyway, oh, look at the time. Bloody hell. I hope you found that interesting. Oh my God. Sherry's saying Rubio just announced that Trump wants to buy Greenland. Oh. That dream. I'm going to make that card available to everyone because it's not just my card, anything that's going to help you. But I think this is really going to help raise the vibration, because we need to raise the vibration, because like I said, Trump is bonkers. He's totally cray-cray. Oh, and there's 1,226 of you here with me right now. Thanks so much. And of course, if you are new, please be sure to like and subscribe and share and press the bell notification and the hype and all of that stuff. Just get these videos out there to everyone, because I'm just having a moment. So we see. So that shows you how the Russian propaganda has also been working, because Putinshka wants Trump to invade or, buy Greenland or whatever. This is just so ridiculous. But if he's offering to buy, but it's like, well, if Greenland says no, then what is he going to do? He's going to invade. Why it's not being screamed from the top of the lungs of everyone in Congress to impeach this guy? Do you know that the rest of the world is talking about sectioning Trump? Not in America, the rest of the world is talking about sectioning Trump. And do you remember when I was doing those readings and I said, guys, I think it's going to be the world that actually holds Trump accountable, not America. And again, this isn't a slap down to the American people. Obviously, you guys that watch me and my channels and people like me and stuff, we know that you want the justice. You can't stand Trump. But unfortunately, huge swathes of the media, a lot of those that support Trump, the response has been very tepid. Yeah. He is a lunatic. But that's what the rest of the world is talking about. Denmark is having secret talks. I think Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, Norway, all coming out to support, of course, Denmark, France, Germany. Because, of course, Europe has to unite, because, of course, if Trump were to invade Greenland, that would be the end of NATO. Because you remember, it's supposed to be if an attack on a NATO country is an attack on everyone. Greenland is part of NATO. So if Trump attacks, that means whoever's part of NATO are obliged to then attack the United States, which would then mean that America and Europe would be at war. I mean, this is just ludicrous, which is probably why he's saying buy rather than take. Ace is saying, I'm Sagittarius, a Sagittarius rising, born 1966. Also makes you the other horse. Like, this is your year, so make the most of it. White House website whitewashed, 1/6 around the Capitol Police were baddies in the narrative. Oh, it's just all so ridiculous. So, someone says here, Spooky gives me the willies. Is there anything good coming from this portal for us in the US? It all seems bad. It's what Trump is doing. You know, like I said, Trump is this. Yeah, he's like a piece of obsidian. Yeah, it's like what I call him Black Mirror. You can't, and I don't say it enough because there's always so much going on. If you look at, this is what mirrors used to be made out of. I can't give a good example here, but you know, like, I want to show something, it reflecting something. Oh, I can't bloody do it. It's not working because the ring light is too strong. But anyway, he is a mirror for a type of energy that needs to leave planet Earth. And we as human beings need to make that choice to be no, no, no. And I think the Earth, people, humanity are reaching that choice. And Trump is not going to be able to take the world with him. He isn't. There may be people that still support him, but that's misguided because that is just a path to ruin. Trump is a dying man. And a dying man doesn't have much to lose, particularly when you're in Trump's position. Yeah, think about it. Epstein files, blah, blah, blah. You're looking at prison, whatnot. And he's just testing to see what he can get away with. It's for everyone, all of us, we have to stand up. But the world is not going to put up with it. If the Americans won't get rid of Trump, then the world will. By hook or by crook. And it will either be physically or most likely what I think is going to happen, it would be economically. And that would be devastating. And that would hurt all of Americans, especially those that don't deserve any of this. But he's pushing the envelope so far. What is the world to do? Yeah. So let's just do a little read here. What are going to be the consequences for Duck L'Orange, which he's already facing, not within his country, but externally? What's the consequences of this invasion or this abduction of Maduro, who is a dreadful man by all accounts, but it's the precedent it sets is just ridiculous, because that means it's like, well, why not have Russia, or China? How about China just come in with their special forces? I mean, they've got robots and they come in with a whole bunch of killer army robots, and they just take Trump and Melania and the whole family. Why not? Yeah. Or anyone that they don't like. You know, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, let's just pull some cards on this. Consequences. What are the global consequences for Duck L'Orange? Global consequences for Duck L'Orange. And sorry, I would like to have read out more comments, but I had to show you those charts because I'm an astrologer after all. So you can see how these kind of timings work. You won't believe the first card. Right, that's going to need a clarifier. Is that what they do? Maybe they unleash the secrets. Is that the answer? Let me just, yeah. Pull a clarifier on what I've got here. Right, okay, there we are. Oh, I've gone over. Wow, there's over 1,300 of you here. Thank you so much, everyone. Right, I'm going to get on with this. Look, remember I said, how is the world going to respond to Duck L'Orange? Yeah, they see him as acting like an imperialist emperor. when I've been pulling cards for Trump recently, this has been showing up along, of course, with the star card. This is how he sees himself. This is how he wants to project himself. This is what I was seeing in my dream. Do you remember I said he wants to become Emperor of the Americas? Quite literally, then grab a bit of Greenland while he can as well. Yeah. So this is how the world is seeing him, as the dictator, the emperor. However, look at this. The Chariot. This is about things racing forward at speed. Things are moving, guys, in ways that America may not yet fully realize, because the media, the mainstream media, is corporate bought. They're not going to be talking about all this stuff. You want to believe what is going around in news, the rest of the world. I do the best I can to bring you what I can, but I can't watch absolutely everything. So things are moving at great pace. This is really serious, guys, really serious. If we look here, this is the same card that I got for Canada. That's where I concluded. I was like, oh, Canada's going to have to defend its borders in some way. This is Europe. This is the world. It's like, you know what? We need to hold on to our values, to our sovereignty, to our integrity. We can't let this emperor would be ride roughshod over us. Yeah, this wannabe emperor. Yeah, we have to take the action to defend ourselves. Irrespective of what they are saying in mainstream media, Canada is preparing for war. Think about that. Do they have a choice? This is why I said if Trump touches Venezuela, it's going to have these unintended consequences. It's not going to work out the way that he planned. Imagine. If we look here, Six of Swords, the world wants to move to smoother waters. They are sick and tired of this rubbish. Yeah. And then we see here, look, the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups can talk about creativity in the positive sense, but really this is about the secrets, yeah? It's time for them to, what this means is that there are secret plans afoot. There is stuff that is now being planned, that has been put into action, that America and Trump do not know about. It's been reported in other media, and I've been watching the independent channels that's saying that Denmark and several other countries are now in secret talks. Because remember, we're not sharing information with America anymore, because they just give it to Putin. So this means there is a secret plan. Yeah. People are going to do something. And this is how I think they're going to do it. If you look here, you've got the Two of Pentacles here, which is about what? Weighing things up. It's not just about money, or there is a financial element here, but you see the stormy seas behind. What the world is doing is they're weighing up the economic cost of action. I think this is also talking about the US dollar, yeah, because it's money. Let's not forget that America is $38 trillion in debt, over $38 trillion in debt. Wouldn't take much to push that over the edge. I also watched a video that was sent to me by someone very dear to me of what happened, how the British Empire ended, and it was too over leveraged. And guess what? You know who pulled the plug on the British Empire ultimately? It was the United States. Back in the 50s, 1953, they said, you're done. It was over the Suez Crisis. Yeah. The world is weighing things up. They're balancing things up. And it's, if they are going to strike, obviously no one wants to do it militarily because America is so powerful. But the weak point is what? The money. If they do so, I know this might seem a bit scary, guys, but really, what choice does the world have? They will impose economic ruin on the United States if Trump carries on with his bullshit. If Trump carries on with his bullshit, the world will impose ruin on America as a form of self-defense. What else can they do? Because America's got the biggest weapons. They've just shown they just acted unilaterally. They can go in and snatch up whoever they want. They're talking about Panama Canal. Yeah, imagine if they get control of the Panama Canal. That means they would then control global trade. They're talking about Mexico. They're talking about Cuba, talking about Greenland, attacking or buying a NATO, sovereign NATO country, and effectively being almost at war with Europe. Yeah, they might have to do the nuclear option. And just in case we weren't sure, look at this. Two of Wands. Yeah, twos are all about decisions. Look, making a financial decision, weighing up a nuclear option in secret. Yeah, they're not going to communicate this. The world is looking at America and thinking, right, I think it's time for a new global order. We are seeing a new global order. Capricorn is also a sign of governance and finance. And the new moon is happening there with that big pile up of planets. I think right around the time of the new moon, which is only not so long from now, 11 days, there may be some kind of international financial threat that may be a coordinated effort, particularly coming from Europe, where they might be like, if you touch 1 foot in Greenland, we will ruin the dollar. Could be something like that. Because I'm thinking that's the only weapon, as it were, that the world can use. It would mean pain for everyone. It would be devastating. It would be devastating. But the world, we're being pushed to the limits here because we have a senile, demented, malignant narcissist who is dying and is just deciding, screw it. I'm just going to burn it all down. And that's going to take some nuclear options. Will Trump succeed? No. Trump will not succeed. I don't think he will, because the pushback is coming strong already. But I think what will come true, it will be the world that stops Trump. The response that I'm seeing, and again, this isn't to be bad to you guys, but the response I'm seeing, particularly from people in power and all this stuff, is, for me, is just ridiculous. He should literally be in a straitjacket right now. But we are where we are. And if he is stopped, it's going to be the world, but they are going to attack the dollar in some kind of way. Or there could even be maybe some kind of economic sanctions, yeah, or some international thing for Trump's arrest, or either way, something is being cooked up, yeah? Something's being cooked up. So I'm going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone, for your comments that I've gone way over. I don't want to go on for too long. Wow, it's basically 1,500 of you joining me live. That is a record. I will get that image up. Yeah, guys, I'll get that image up. You can use it for meditation, third eye activation, past, present, future, to search your own soul or the cosmos, whatever you feel guided to, you do. The second I have that thing up, and it's going to be very reasonably priced, don't worry, it ain't going to cost a fortune, because I want people to have access to it. And the first way you're going to have access to it is a digital copy. Yeah, a digital copy. So you can just download it and print it either yourself on your own printer or take it to a printer's, because it's high quality. I've done it high resolution. It will look very, very good. And you can then, frame it, put it up somewhere, or just look at it. I just find when I just look at it, I just feel like I'm kind of like transported. Yeah, like I said, like I just look at it, that eye, and even though it is like there is a bit of a spooky quality to it, but I just feel it's part of the zeitgeist. And just like with the other guy who's also done his own 3 pyramids in the eye kind of thing as well, 3-eye atlas, higher vibration. We got to go for it, guys. Light workers, light workers, light workers, light workers. This is it. This is it. We need to flood the world with higher consciousness, higher vibrations, meditation, chanting, nature, love, power, all of it, because this guy is deranged and he feels like, because he's dying, he feels like he's got nothing to lose. Anyway, I'm leaving it there. Bye-bye for now. I think I've said enough. I need to rest. Big love, everyone. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And I will see you all soon. I'll see you tomorrow, yeah, for the show. All right. Big love. Bye.